welcome to another exciting episode of the Andre the Beast Creighton Show with my co-host, Yolanda M. Smith, the Banthicus. You know, I was just thinking how I was going to do this show today. And I know people are like, wow, you're getting a lot of musicians, let me rephrase that, a lot of artists coming onto your show. And I think this is what I shared with somebody. When you get opportunities in life, you got to take advantage of it. So this was a great opportunity because I went to an event that I wasn't invited to. I was invited by a friend to go to this event. And through this event, I was able to meet these young and aggressive entertainers, artists. And one more happens to walk in through my door. Like I said, I never know who can walk in through the I Am Beast network, but I'm always happy when they do walk in there. And today we have, I'm going to call her the new Tina Marie. So I'm going to let her introduce herself on the Andre the Beast Creighton Show.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. My name is Kelsey Marie. I'm very happy to be here today.
What's going on? So take me down. Let's start all over again with this. You're a performer. You're from Indianapolis, Indiana, Warren Central High School. You just signed with a record label. It seems like the dreams are just coming. Take the viewers down a little path of who you are.
I'll say it's definitely been a journey. So, I've loved music my whole life. So even as far back as like first grade, I was always in choir all the way through high school.
Right.
But then when I was in middle school, we kind of took it a little bit more seriously. But I had a really amazing teacher. Her name was Miss Shermersheim. And she, we had to, as an 8th grader, if you were in choir, you had to try out for high school choir. I was going to be doing other sports, so I didn't really think I was going to want to do choir. I would have time. But then when I got to try out, the choir teacher at the time, Mr. Hawks, was like, I think you need to be in choir.
Right.
And so luckily they had one that didn't have as much time demands. So I was able to be a part of a choir called Central Jazz.
Okay.
And that really built me as an artist right there. That really fit. That kind of R&B, that jazz style really fit me. So I knew I really wanted to grow with that. And then my sophomore year in high school, I got the awesome opportunity to be a part of Connection, which was the top show choir at Warren Central.
Oh, okay.
And I did that my sophomore, junior, and senior year. So I just fell in love with that, and I've always had like a really strong love of music. Like I could always hear all the different parts of it. I was just very aware of just music in general. And
when did you think this started? Like,
honestly, as far back as I can remember. Like
really?
I always had good music in my home, and like, Stevie Wonder or like Carole King or like just all kinds of just different Sade, like so many different amazing artists that I just fell in love with. And then after high school, I really did try to pursue music, but I was a little bit like shy, really, and then also I just really couldn't.
You were shy, but
I'm still shy.
But you want to be an entertainer.
It's a funny thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm still shy, but it's so funny. People will be like, "Do you get nervous?" I'm like, "Yes." Like I get very nervous. I'm a human being.
Right.
I'm gonna experience that, but once I start singing, though, once I get on stage, like there's just a beautiful energy, a beautiful power that comes through. So I know it's what's right for me. And I'll actually never forget. I think I might have been a freshman in high school, and we had a solo night where we got to do a solo for the first time, and I was scared to death. But I remember when I first started singing, like the looks on people's faces, they kind of just were like, "Wait a minute.
Who is this?"
Yeah, and so it really kind of sparked for me, like, okay, maybe I do have something special.
Right.
And then I just kept continuing, and I had a lot of people who influenced me to just push harder and get out of that shell that I had, and I'm so glad that they did because I'm here now.
Go back a little bit. You said you just noticed something even growing up. In your household, do you have any musical traits or any family members that's in music?
Trying to think. My family has always loved music very, very much, but I don't really have too many close relatives that are necessarily performers or anything like that, but they're artistic and they love, you know, music and all kinds of things like that. So
you mentioned jazz. Why jazz? Why did you all of a sudden gravitate to jazz?
I think that's just naturally what fit me. I mean, even as a young kid, like I remember just loving more like soulful music, and you know, as I got a little older, I got into some of the mainstream stuff, but little by little I started to recognize that just didn't feel right. And some of their messaging just didn't feel right. And it's not to judge or anything like that. It just didn't feel right for me. And that's why I love Miss Lauryn Hill so much, because she woke me up. She woke me up to realize that what I put in my mind, what I listen to, what I watch, that has a huge impact on who I am. And she has this song called Get Out. And she talks about getting out of the boxes that society tries to put you in. And I mean, I just fell in love with that song. I listened to it a million times, and still to this day, I refuse to be put in boxes. So whether it's music or what society thinks I should be, it's not to be disrespectful. It's just to be who I am. I'm not going to do.
What box were you in that you felt you was in? Because we all was put in some type of box, one way or another. What box were you in?
I feel like
and
there's
about
been a
what
lot.
age was it that you was in the box?
I feel like there's been a lot throughout my whole life, but I really started to notice it around my senior year of high school. And I actually got really low. Like I really felt pretty depressed, honestly.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, like I just felt so low, and I didn't really understand why. But then I was looking into like, okay, what am I watching? What am I listening to? And like, for instance, when, you know, I would listen to some of these songs, I kind of wanted to be the woman that they were talking about. You know, the woman that you see in the videos. I wanted to be that girl, the ride or die type. And what I was kind of realizing is that that's a fantasy world. That's not really who I am. There's so much more to me. You know, I'm not just somebody that you can put in a video and just look at me and let me just be half dressed in the video. And again, it's not to shame anybody or to judge anybody. I just know that that's not really who I am. And I think that most people, like, if you were to be honest with yourself and you were to ask, like, am I doing this because it makes me happy? Or am I doing this because I think that's what's going to bring me attention? That's what's going to bring me clout? It's just a question to ask yourself. Because if you're doing it for you, then all power to you. Go right ahead. But I just felt like I was kind of getting put into a box, like, oh, you look like this, so you have to be this. We want to see you look like this. And still to this day, it happens.
Really?
Still to this day,
How do you confront it? I mean, like, without being, it's still a business. You're still treating it like a business.
Right.
And naturally, promoters, new managers have their way of how they run things.
Right.
But how do you keep yourself true to who you are without hurting their feelings?
It's a lot of mixture of things, but definitely God. I have a very strong relationship with God, so I'm always praying. I'm always, you know, talking with God. I write music about it. So
Really?
I have a song called Underestimated where I'm talking about that. My whole life, people have not believed that I'm capable of doing things, whether it's because I'm too small or I'm a woman or whatever it might be. Like, people just don't think that I'm capable of certain things, and I love
Give me an
proving
example
people
of
wrong.
a moment that you went out to seek something outside of the singing career, and the negativity came in. And where did the negativity come from? Did it come from the family? Did it come from the friends? Was it a combination? Elaborate on that a little
definitely
bit.
had a lot of mixture, so it's been family and friends. But one that sticks out to me is I was working at a restaurant and I was working my way up. So hostess, I was doing the to-goes, and then I was trying to become a server. And they were not letting me, they just wouldn't even let me try because they were afraid I wasn't going to be able to lift the trays. And I'm like, I'm going to be able to do this. I'm strong. Like, just let me try.
Right.
And they wouldn't let me. And finally I was like, listen, like, I'm going to have to move on to a place that's going to believe in me if you're not going to let me try. And so they let me try, and I got like 5 customer compliments, boom, 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 held all the trays, never dropped a dish. I think maybe one time I dropped a dish, but like, that was way later on, and I was just so proud. And like, that's happened actually multiple times where a job won't believe that I'm capable of handling, you know, something, and I'm like able to prove that. And you know, it's happened a lot in my life, honestly.
What were some of the struggles breaking into the music industry for you?
Yeah, I think I still deal with them.
Especially in the R&B industry. I think the when I think of a Caucasian woman in the industry, naturally I'm thinking Tina Marie. You know, Rick James molded her. I mean, you know, she sung like no tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know, so how difficult is it for you to not to follow those footsteps, but to break the mold?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't necessarily think of it like that. You know, I just am who I am, and I've kind of just always been that way. You know, I've always just loved soul music, and that's just, it's a part of me. And so it's not to me necessarily, I guess it does create some challenges, but it's kind of cool actually, because I'll get up on stage and people are like, okay, what's she about to do? You know, and then I start singing, they're like, okay. we'll let her pass. Yeah. So I love that. I love making people think. I love, like I said, breaking the barriers, breaking boxes. You can't tell me just because I'm a white woman that I can't do, you know, certain things. Like, I'm going to break those barriers with respect, of course, but I'm going to do that because that's just who I am naturally. I like when people doubt me because it makes me push, and then I get to prove them wrong. But you know, I think it's just for every woman, there's so many, you know, challenges that come from being in the music industry. Again, people want to put you in a box. They want to make you look a certain way. They want to, you know, have you kind of show off your body in certain ways. And I think it's really important to show who you are and allow yourself to maybe be, you know, sensual or maybe have that sexy side, but also be treated with respect. That's just what I care most about. But that's really challenging. It's challenging to be in an industry where people, they look at you and they automatically assume things. And that's happened to me even not just in music. People just look at me and they just have assumptions that they make up. I can't tell you like how many people have been like, oh, I thought you were going to be mean when I first met you. And most of the time,
Why would they think that? Is it do you give a mean?
I will say though,
mug?
I will say sometimes I do have that face, you know.
Okay.
But like when I'm thinking about something, I will kind of be like really kind of have a little scowl on my face. So it was funny when I had my very first like photo session. Danny Stevenson, she's a great photographer. She actually models too, and she's phenomenal at it. But she was doing my photos and she was like, I think I need you to smile a little bit. And she showed me the pictures and I was like, oh, that's why everybody thinks I'm mean. Like, look at my face. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think that people just, I don't know, it's just happened my whole life. People have always made assumptions about me, or I've always kind of had to prove people wrong, but I don't necessarily mind it. Because like I said, it makes me strong.
How has the journey been so far? You're now signed with a label. Mm-hmm. Tell me a little bit about that and how did that come about?
Yeah, so I started with MeCap, which is an independent record label. Mm-hmm. So a lot of what I do is on me. But I get to work with some amazing artists and some amazing producers and my incredible manager, Uncle Jams. I just love him so much. So in 2018, I'll never forget, I was driving down the street one day, and I'll never forget exactly where I was. And I was praying. I was really talking to God. And I was like, okay, God, like, I know that you've put this on my heart. I want to do music, but I need your help. Right. I need the right team. And I kid you not, in that moment, I got a message. And at a stoplight, I checked it. Okay. And then it was a buddy of mine from high school, a great artist who goes by the name Skip. And he reached out, and he was actually promoting one of his songs that I just fell in love with. I was like, you don't know this, but you wrote that song for me. Okay. And we really didn't know each other that well at the time, but he was promoting it, and then he was like, what have you been doing with your music? And I was like, I just can't find the right team. Right. And he was like, well, I have the right team for you. And he introduced me to Uncle Jams. I had done a cover of At Last by Etta James at a wedding. And that was the first song that Uncle Jams, heard from me. And we talked, and, it just clicked. It just worked. And we started making a song. I'll never forget, I was really scared at first. Like, what's this going to be?
How are you going to be scared when you've already performed numerous times?
Well, what's funny, though, is I had performed, but I was really with a choir. Okay. So I had done a few solos, but I never really got out on my own. And so it was different because it was my face, it was my name, it was my lyrics, so. Did
you have to perform for Uncle Jams?
No, so he did see that performance. He saw the video of me performing that. Okay. But then he kind of just brought me in, and we started working on, a single. But I went to Gary, Indiana, and I did a performance there for the first time. And I did a couple covers. I did Mary J. Blige, Love No Limit. I might have only done that one at that time. But yeah, that was really fun. And that went really well. And then it's just been ever since then. Now,
you did mention something I think is kind of important for people to realize. you didn't give up the journey. You actually, soon as you found the right team,
Right.
everything seems to connect, and it's so important to have
Right.
that connection. But they all had the same dreams and aspirations and visions as you did. What were some of the parts that you was really struggling with in your career that they helped to elevate?
Oh gosh, so many things. I mean, just really knowing the right people, being able to go and perform. Like, I would not have the experiences that I have right now if it wasn't for Uncle Jams. I mean, even something as simple as when I did my very first song, Reggie Griffin, who is a phenomenal guitar player, he's played with like Shaka Khan, Babyface, all these different people, done amazing things. He was on my very first song. And then also B. Thompson, who is an incredible saxophone player,
Yes,
who now plays with Babyface. He was, not only was he on my first song, he was also on another song called Empowered, and that I was able to write, and he was able to bless with his beautiful sound. And he's allowed me to perform at the Jazz Kitchen with him. He came with us at the Jazz Kitchen when we all got to perform. So just so many connections. Nut Bush, who is just
Yeah.
an incredible producer. I know he was just here
Several
not too long ago.
platinum albums.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, and he's just the most humble, kind, he's so thoughtful, and I just love him so much. So just the connections, the right people, because you cannot do this alone. You need the right team, and they just brought me just so many experiences. They really helped me believe in myself more. Uncle Jams has given me some of the most beautiful compliments over the years, and he calls me Lady Sunshine, which is like my favorite nickname that's ever been given to me. But
You're not going to change your performance
I
name
know,
to
I
Lady
thought about
Sunshine. though. Okay.
But I did think about it, but Kelsey Marie it's who I am, so I don't really necessarily want to change that. But I love the name Lady Sunshine. I'll probably write a song or something.
How hard
Lady
is it
Sunshine.
for a female to make it in today's industry? I know they have overnight sensations, but let's get real. That's not always the case. You have to put in work. You have to have the right connection. How hard is it for a woman to really make it in this industry?
Yeah, and I would say too, most likely those overnight sensations, they probably have done a lot of work that we don't really get to see. But you know what? I honestly think there's a lot of hardships for men and for women. That's actually something I really learned getting into the music industry, is that men are also they're also over sexualized. They're also highly criticized in a lot of ways, and they deal with a lot of pressure when it comes to music, which was really interesting to learn about. But women, I think sometimes if you're not with the right people, maybe they don't take you as seriously, or maybe you have to try a little bit harder to be taken seriously. I think that might be part of it. I'm lucky because I've been with a group of phenomenal people who have always treated me with respect. I don't think I would be able to continue on if I wasn't treated with respect. And in fact, there's been people I've worked with that I'm like, okay, I got to move into a different direction.
Why? What were they doing that had you to move in a different direction?
Whether it was just maybe not handling business right, not being professional. That doesn't necessarily even have to do with being, a woman, but just if you're not handling your business right. Or sometimes I will say, they want to get too flirtatious, and I'm like, hey, I'm here as a professional. You wouldn't treat a man like that. Like, I was working at a studio one time, great individual, not to speak bad about anyone, but working for at a studio trying to learn and stuff, and a gentleman, he was kind of being a little bit flirtatious, and I was like, look, how you treat me sets the standard for how everyone else here is going to treat me, and I need you to treat me just like you would anyone else. And you know what? It set the record straight, and he was able to own up and be like, okay, cool. And so I actually appreciate that, because I'm able to educate people and help them grow and be better and learn that, hey, when you speak to me like that, it's really disrespectful. So go ahead and take that with how you're going to speak to every woman. I don't know if men always realize how scary it can be sometimes to be catcalled or to be looked at in a certain way. Like, that is a violation. And I think that's part of what I'm here to do, is kind of bring balance between men and women and help educate men and educate women too, because you know what? We need both. We really need both. And if we can come together and be strong individually and together.
What do you enjoy most? Writing? I've asked everybody that came on the new artists.
Yeah.
What do you enjoy doing most? Writing or producing, performing?
That's so hard. I love everything. There's different aspects of each one that I love, but Definitely, when you get to write and you're in that creative space, there's something really special there. Like I said, like I have a really close relationship with God. Like I'm not necessarily super religious, but I'm very spiritual, and so my musical journey has been a very, very godly journey. Even from the beginning, praying and being like, "I need your help," and boom, there's the message. So that's how almost every song has a story of how God has played a role. But pretty much, like the ideas will just get dropped into my head and I'll just start writing. Sometimes it's not always as simple, but usually it just comes right to me. So that part is really cool for me because it's like an elevation. You feel like just like
do you wake up in the middle of the night and go, "Oh, wow, I got this on my mind," and start like
sometimes,
and then like go back to sleep and let me finish it off and
I
so
wouldn't
forth.
say usually if I'm asleep, I'm asleep. I'm asleep on that night. But no, it will just happen like that where it just comes and like actually I had a song, Tiny But Mighty, and the chorus, like I never really considered myself a rapper. I didn't really think about that.
You're thinking about it now?
Yeah, well, I just had that chorus come and I was like, well, I guess here we go, you know, but I've always loved hip hop though, you know, like Tupac is one of my all time favorite artists. I like have a real love for him and so many other artists too, but especially Tupac. And you know, I just had that chorus it was in my head, and it was in my head for like 3 years, and I was like, I'm not gonna do that, you know, and then I was like, finally I was like, I gotta do it. It's in my head, it won't go away, and it was good. So I was like, well, okay.
It's so funny, most artists today, when you ask them who is somebody that they looked up to or they enjoyed their creativity, and they always mention Tupac first. Why did you mention Tupac first?
You know, he said a long time ago, he was like, I might not change the world, but I'm going to spark the minds that do. And that just always stood out to me. Okay. And like his whole imagery of a rose growing through concrete, I think that resonated with so many people. I know it resonated with me. Like I'll even put roses in my videos and stuff. And I've just always kind of had a love for roses. And I just think he was just special. He had like a way of speaking to people and talking in a way that just inspired people. And he was just, to me, he was just so smart and just a brilliant artist. And I wish I could have met him in person because I would have loved to just be around his energy. But I feel like you can still feel that through his music. And I don't know, I've just always had a love.
What do you want people to feel through your music?
Ooh, I love that question. I think honestly though, I want them to feel what they need to feel. So I don't want to necessarily dictate that. I want them to feel what they want to feel. But if I could choose, I want them to understand that they are so powerful right where you are. You don't have to do anything else, be anything else, nothing. You are powerful. You matter, and you are so, so loved. And if my music can inspire somebody to feel those things, I've done my job.
Man, that's deep. Mm-hmm. So before we wrap up with this, I know for sure we're going to do another part to this show because we have another surprise guest coming on, and hopefully you guys will entertain us with your new release album. But before we wrap up this episode, what's your end game here? Well, what's the end game for you? You've been singing pretty much all your life. You got family support. The people I talked to call you the next Tina Marie. Another guy called you the next Erykah Badu.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, I mean, like you're Sade. I mean, what's your end game here?
I love that. Thank you. You know, my end game is to just honestly spread love and to just spread good music. And I would love to be able to, you know, put my music out on a really grand scale and be able to you know, have it in millions of people's homes and hearts and all of that. But at the end of the day, for me, if I only get to what I've done so far, I'm proud of myself. Like I've done so much and I'm so proud of that. So, I mean, my end goal is to just be happy, to find happiness and peace and to live the most godly life that I can. And I think that music is a big part of that for me, and just spreading love, spreading good vibes. And I will say this, I'm determined to put my stamp on the music industry.
Wow,
and I'm determined
to
say,
you don't throw your hands up.
Okay,
I'm determined
Listen,
to do this.
It's a very real thing for me. I want to change things up a little bit. I'm a little bit I'm ready to see more creativity, more, authentic, behavior in music. I feel like a lot of it has just become so mainstream and people just want to continue doing what they've already seen.
Right.
I want to see who you are. I want to see what's in your heart. Don't show me what everyone else has already done. And it's never to shame anybody. It's just I want to see more. And so if I can inspire that, I've done my job.
How can the viewers reach out to you?
Yeah, so I'm on all social media. It's Kelsey Marie, KELSIMARIE music, or Kelsey Marie Music 317. But all my music is on any platform that you listen to, and then I've got videos for every single song on YouTube.
Something that I noticed with all of the entertainers that have been on here the last couple of days, and I applaud you guys. When I ask them certain questions, none of them have ever said to me, I'm doing it for the money.
Oh, no. Because if you're in this for the money, it's going to be a long journey. Because let me tell you, you put a lot in. So pretty much everything that you see me doing, I paid for that.
Okay.
So I'm working really, really hard. Now, I will say I'm very blessed. I have a great team, people who bless me as well. I'm very, very lucky. But I work very hard for what I do. As an independent artist, you're really paying for everything that you do. So it's not an easy journey. I would say I definitely spend more than what I make at this time, but
you love what you do.
I was just going to say, it doesn't really feel like work. Yeah, because you love it so much, and to me, I would do anything not anything, but you know what I'm saying? I love it that passionately that I would do so much for music, and, it's always going to kind of continue for me. But, it would be cool to see it grow and to make money off of your dream.
Yeah,
even when I go perform and I'm able to make even a small amount, that is so cool to me because I just made money pursuing my dream. So I love it.
Leave the viewers with a very impactful send-off.
I love that. I think the most important thing is to be your authentic self, truly. The world needs you as you are. So don't compare yourself to other people. Don't look at that. It's so easy to do nowadays, but it's so important to find out your power and let the whole world see it. And I think the other thing would be to maintain a growth mindset. You're never too old, too young. You're never anything. Grow, build, always. Even if I were to get high up in the industry, I will always grow. I will always learn. I will listen to other people. I don't care what age you are. I don't care. I'm going to grow and I'm going to learn and build with you and learn from you. So everybody should keep that in mind. Just keep that mindset, because if you do that, then you really can't be stopped,
Give me a sample of something off of one of your tracks. I don't say album anymore. I say tracks.
Okay. Let me see. I'm going to do my new one. Okay,
Go
ready?
for it. Yeah.
Let me sit up right. Okay. Gotta get back to real love. We gotta get back to real love. We gotta get back to real love. Real love. Real.
Lord, we're going to get a full album on that one. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been no other than the beautiful Miss Kelsey Marie on the Andre the Beast Clayton Show.
Thank you so much.